All right, so the next section is Unit Standard 242817 and 242822. What you'll see is it has two sections to it. The first one is solving problems, making decisions, and implementing solutions, and then also employing a systematic approach to achieving objectives. So the one side is problem solving, the other side is planning. Can we do both? So again, after every unit standard, there is a checklist. We need to make sure that all of the elements that we require in order to be proved competent for that unit standard are done. So choose a management issue. If we've done that, then we tick that. Analyzing of the problem, we're going to tick that as we go through it. We're going to plan how to implement our solution. We then implement the solution. We include evidence of monitoring and completion of the plan. We're going to tick that. Then we analyze how effective our solution was. Then we get management feedback, and then inserting a copy of our planning project completed during training. So again, these things we've already done, but it is taking it that extra dimension in order to be proved competent, that we understand our approach to problem solving and we understand the power of planning and project management. Okay, again, from page 34, you will just see background on the learning application. So it will have all of the learning outcomes and what needs to be achieved. So page number 42 is where we're going to pick up our section. So remember when we did the core program, you chose a specific problem to address. Now that problem could have been anything. It could have been that your printer, you needed a color printer instead of the printer that you had. It could have been that you were losing too many earplugs and that was creating a cost issue, that you were throwing away wood that could be used in a recycling project. So whatever you chose in the core program, that is what you are going to put in here. So let's say I said we are going to now buy a printer that can do A1 prints in color, because we were currently outsourcing it, and that was actually costing us 121 Rand a print, which we could have done in-house and saved money. So what management issue or problem that we are facing needs attention to resolve? So that was my one. You would choose what you chose in your core project. What end result would you like to see? I would like to see us using our own machine in order to print A1 color copies, and that would then save us money at the end of the day. So that's going to be my project. Now, what is the problem? It asks what is happening, where is it happening, why is it happening, how is it happening, when is it happening, and with whom is it happening, and if I require more information or documentation on that problem, where would I find it? So the first thing is what is happening. We are currently unable to print A1 color copies. That is what is happening. Where is it happening? Well, it is happening in the design office. Why is it happening? Because we currently do not have a printer with the functionality that is required in order to do A1 color copies. How is it happening? Well, when you don't have a machine that is capable of doing it, we have to outsource it, which costs a lot of money. When is it happening? Well, we are currently printing 21 A1 color copies a month. And with whom is it happening? Again, with the designers here in our design office. Do we need more information? So what is happening? Well, maybe we need to look at the user manual of our current printer. Where is it happening? Maybe we also need to ask all of the other departments if they require the printing that we are going to be trying to insource. Why is it happening? Well, we're very clear in terms of why we don't need more information there. How is it happening? We also know why. When is it happening? Well, we might want to get a print or take a look at the invoice that we got from our outsourced solution just to see how often this actually happened. And then with whom is it happening? As we said, with the design office, we don't need more information. Now, on page number 44, it says describe 3 methods that we could use to analyze a problem. So in our core program, we actually looked at a whole bunch of different tools. So we looked not just at brainstorming, we also looked at the Pareto effect, we looked at fishbones, we looked at 5 whys. Those were three methods. Describe the method. Well, with fishbone, what we would do is we'd use a fishbone diagram to analyze the different areas that a problem could have been impacted by. Great. 5 whys. We asked why until we get to the root cause. Pareto effect. We looked at the 80-20 rule and where we could start to improve on the 80-20. Now, how would you use the method? Unfortunately, it is probably the same as describe the method. With this, I would say, where would we use the method? So where would we use a fishbone? We use it after incidents. Then where would we use a 5 why? Well, once we've identified a point of cause, we would then ask 5 whys. And with Pareto effect, what we would do is we would analyze where most of the breakdowns on our machinery came from, and then we could work out the 80-20. Now, question number 5 says, why is it important to consult with others, stakeholders, and get their contributions throughout the problem-solving process? So why do we consult with others? Well, we need to see problems from different viewpoints. We could also get maybe other resources from other departments if we consult with them. We might also get buy-in, and other people might take ownership. We could get other people to become invested in the problem and maybe help us with financial resources or with their knowledge. So why is it a good idea to consult with different stakeholders before we start the problem-solving process? Now, with this specific problem, so the one that you identified in the core program and you made the project about, who would you consult? So maybe for me, I'm going to consult the design manager. Why? Because they have a good understanding of the images that we need to print. I'm also going to consult with the financial manager because I need to know if we have budget in order to insource this. I'm also going to consult with the lead designer. Why? Because they know the specifications of the prints that we normally do. And I might also go and consult with suppliers. Why? Because they have understanding of what's out in the market and what the costs would be. So all of those people I would consult about this problem. Now, using one problem analyzing method, so it could be fishbone, it could be 5 why, it could be brainstorming, it could be a chart, it could be a flow chart. I'm going to use one technique and use it here to analyze my problem. So with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at 5 why. So why do we not print A1 color copies in-house? Well, because we don't have a printer with that capability. Why don't we have it? Because our other printer was outdated. Why was it outdated? Well, because we had no money to invest in our infrastructure. Why did we not have it? Because it wasn't a priority in our business. So now I know what the root cause of that is. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to look at 3 different options for a solution. So as I said, the solution that I wanted was to insource a machine that could print A1 color copies, but there might be other solutions. So what is solution number 1? That we continue to outsource our color printing. That is solution number 1. Solution number 2 is that we buy a printer that is able to do A1 color printing. What is solution number 3? That we don't print anything in A1 and everything, so everything needs to be A2 and needs to be black and white. Those are the 3 possible solutions. Now, how easy is it to achieve this? Well, if we already outsourcing, it's quite easy. So it's a low stake. What is solution number 2? Well, we're going to buy our own color printer. Well, it's not as easy as remaining with the current provider. So it's going to be a high stake. Solution number 3, well, this is that we're going to print everything A2 and in black and white. Is it easy to achieve? Yes, it's quite easy. So it's going to take a low stake. So low stake are the good things, up to this point. So how much time will it take? How much will it cost? How much extra resources would it need? Now, if it's easy, it's going to be low stake. If it's reasonable, it's going to be average stake. If it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of cost, it's going to be high stake. So that's bad. All right. Now, this is where it changes. How committed will stakeholders be to this? So if they are not going to be at all committed, it's low stake, but that's bad. Okay. If they are going to be committed to it, it's going to be high stake, but that's obviously good. Now, when it comes to insourcing this machine, how committed will stakeholders be? Well, maybe they'll only be averagely committed because there's going to be money that is involved. Right, but how much value will it add to the workplace? Now, in this case, it doesn't add any value because we're outsourcing it, so we'll say low, but with this one, we're going to insource the machine. It's going to be high. So for these ones, those two, the higher, the better, the lower, the worse. But for everything else, low is good, high is bad. Also, will it need a lot of coordination? Low is good, high is bad. All right, so you just analyze the solution according to the criteria on the ends here. But once we have analyzed it, now we're going to choose a specific solution. So for me, yes, it's going to take a bit of work, but ultimately the value that it's going to create is going to be far more beneficial. So what solution will I choose and why? Well, I've run the numbers, and instead of paying 4,000 Rand a month on printing, we can actually save that 4,000 Rand, and we would only be paying 900 Rand in terms of materials and the rent on this printer. So what I've decided is that instead of buying the printer, we are going to rent the printer. So that's the solution based on my analysis. Now, how do I know if it's a successful solution? I need to have certain measurements in place. The first measurement will be cost. Okay, so cost over here. Now, is it a quality or a quantity? When we're working in cost, it's always going to be a quantity. So saving of 3,000 Rand a month. That would show me that this is now successful. Okay, then I might have motivation is another measurement, because now instead of having to drive to the printer to go and pick up our printing, we can do it in-house. And so motivation, is that a quality or quantity? In this case, it's a quality. I can't measure motivation. Quality, so people are more motivated and less stressed. So that's what I want to see. Convenience, obviously it's going to be more convenience. So quality, I can't measure convenience, but quality, it's going to be easier for everyone because we will be able to print, and it will be easy to pick it up. Time saving. That's going to be, is it a quantity or quality? Well, it's a quantity. I can measure time. We will save an hour every week. So that would be a measurement. All right, so I've measured what success would look like. Then number 11, any other criteria that we need for the success of this project? It could be checkpoints, measurements, contingency plans, availability of resources, buy-in of stakeholders. So a couple of the things that would have to be in place. We need to have a budget given to us by the financial manager. We need to make sure that the design office has got software that we'll use on this printer. And we need to make sure that we have credibility, or we have a credit rating so that we can lease the printer. If we don't have that, then unfortunately my plan won't work. So what are the things that we need in order for the plan to work? Now, over here is your plan chart. So you have already done the plan chart based on what you did in your project on call. But the only thing that will change is you are going to put in the steps, okay, that you did on your plan chart for core, but you're also going to have to add in the standard. I'm not 100% sure, but I didn't think there was a standard. If there is a standard on your plan chart, then all that you do is you transcribe it. So please don't put your original plan chart is, please use this one. So what is your objective? My objective is to rent a printer instead of outsourcing all of our color prints. In this way, we can save 3,000, so 36,000 Rand a year, and I want this to be in place by the end of July 2026. I'll take all the steps that I put in my plan chart, I'll put them down. Also, the quality or quantity that step has to be done to. What is the budget or resources that I require in order to do that step? Who is going to be responsible for that specific task? By when does it need to be done? And if it has been done, when was it completed? At the bottom here, I will ask those who were involved in my project to put their names. Any suggested changes would be put in here, and they would sign that they are in agreement with the plan that we have put in place. Okay, so now that I've done that, the next thing is that I need to have some kind of evidence that my plan is in process or my plan was completed. Now, this can be anything. It can be an email that I sent to the design officer to say, what kind of printer would we require? It could be a quote from a supplier to say, this is the specifications of the printer. It could be a letter from the financial manager to say, this is the budget I can give you. It could be a report from our outsourced provider about their costs and expenses. That gives me clear indication that I've engaged my mind onto the plan and the problem. So this is where we put evidence of the problem and evidence of what we have done to try and solve the problem. So we need at least 2 pieces of evidence that is going to prove your competence in this. So you just take those quotes, reports, emails, photographs, anything, and you put them behind this piece of paper. Right, now, once we have done the plan, then we implement and execute. Now, not everything goes to plan, and so this is where we are going to put in what we have found. This is our findings once we have executed the plan. Now, for some of you, you might not have fully completed this project by the time that you are doing your summative assessment. So this is where you need to apply your mind and go, hypothetically, this is what I think would happen. So did you take any corrective action or make any contingency plans? Describe what you did. So when we put in the printer, we had to have a second printer in place just in case it didn't work the first time. We also had to make sure that all of the software was upgraded onto the new printer so that everyone's computer could work. We also needed to have a IT person on standby to make sure that any IT issues were sorted out so that everyone could use the printer. That's the corrective and contingency plans we had to put in place. How effective was our solution? Well, in the short term, we had a couple of problems and we actually lost a lot of paper. But once we calibrated the printer properly and we sorted out the ink issues, then it worked really well. From the second month, we started to save money. Great. Then what could you have done better and why? Maybe what I should have done is bring the salesperson onto premises. I could have maybe rented it for a month just to test it out before we signed a contract. We could have also used different kinds of paper to see which was the best print instead of buying a whole ream of paper that we actually didn't need. So that's what I could have done better. Then, once you have executed and implemented the plan, you're going to ask your manager to give you feedback on how your plan was executed, how it was planned, how the problem-solving process went. So a project idea or plan was given to me and clearly presented. So if you did that, high marks. Approval to apply the plan was given. Yes, high marks. I understood all the objectives, timeframes, and resources involved in this plan. I wasn't actually included in a time frame, so I'm only going to give 3 for that one. I understand the budget and resource requirements and why they're in place. Yes, it was clearly presented. Financial plan was brought to me. I received regular reports. I would have liked more reports. So I'm only going to give them 3. The end result of the plan was communicated. Yes, that was a 5. The outcome was analyzed and recommendation was given on how to improve future performance. Yeah, that was broken down for me, very clear. I gave them a 4. I'm able to assist with the performance improvement ideas. I want to be involved, so I'm going to give it a 5. Comments, Very well handled. I'm very proud that this person has taken the initiative and they did a really good cost benefit analysis. This is where they date. The manager puts in their name and their signature, and that's going to be that. Now, over here on the next page is where you're going to include your planning project completed during training. Now, for most of you, you did a PowerPoint presentation and you did a plan chart. So just to include those things, print out your PowerPoint, print out your plan chart, print out anything that was part of that process, and you are going to insert the copies over here. That again gives the assessor a really good indication that you have applied your mind, that you are capable of problem solving, that you are very good at planning, and that your project management was on point. And that is how you're going to present your evidence. Okay, so that is your problem solving and planning section. And that is then obviously going to get you quite a few credits towards your full qualification.